What is going on, my beautiful people? What's happening? Welcome to the 24th episode of the RPD show, which happens to be recorded on Wednesday, February 24th, 2-2421. Episode 24, not a coincidence. Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, rest in peace, along with all those, all the other people involved in that tragic accident. But today is a very cool day. Sorry, getting my throat ready for all this talking. That could have sounded way worse, so don't have your mind go in the gutter. But today's been a cool day. The Spider-Man 3 title got revealed. Spider-Man No Way Home. I think that's real cool and exciting if you're a Marvel nerd such as myself. Good times. But today on the show, I'm being joined by one of Chicago's very finest. I've met him. We've met once at a show that he was opening up for on a tour I was managing, but our relationship dates back to that. He is a musical artist and producer by the name of Joey Burbs. Joey Burbs is a 6'5" combo guard based in Chicago, Illinois. He has a natural scoring ability with a consistent deep and mid-range jump shot. But his lateral foot speed and general lack of desire to compete on the defensive end of the floor makes him a liability. Yeah, he has a background in basketball, so that would be fun to talk some hoops and what he's been up to. It's been a while since I've really talked to him, and he was like, let's do a pod. I'm like, let's do it, brother. So here we are, like a week later. Episode 24. Going to be letting him in here in a few. Oh, here we go. He's in.
Oh.
I can hear you, but I cannot. There we go.
There we go. What's going on, my dude?
Not much. Welcome to the RPD show. Thanks for
got it. Are we live?
This.
Are we starting live? Do we just go right into it?
I started recording because I gave you like an intro and all that, but I can easily hit stop and then
that's
and we can restart and we can restart it. And that's, so but
no, I'm here for the live quick intros. I'm ready to go. Is everything sounding okay? I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm sounding okay. I think I've got this thing down now. So
you sound as beautiful as ever.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, I gave while I was in the waiting room. I gave your intro, which I thought was hilarious. Like on your Spotify, 6'5" combo guard based from Chicago.
Yeah, man. Like I feel like everyone always their bios on Spotify or on their website are always so serious, or there's so much just talking about their statistics that really, in the grand scheme of things, probably are not that impressive, anyways. So I just wanted to take an approach of being a little more, showing a little more personality, I guess, and having a little more fun with it.
I dig it. I mean, did you play ball growing up at all?
I did, yeah. I actually played in college too. I played at Rice University.
I didn't. Hell yeah, that's a D1 school, right? Right.
It is, yeah. That was kind of the first love, and music always was like. Definitely like a huge hobby, something I was always super passionate about. But I in high school, I was obviously super focused on basketball just as much as anything. So it's kind of cool to see the evolution of it all. And now I'm full-time music, and basketball is just the hobby. So here we are.
I love that, how it's came full circle. We'll definitely get into the music here in a bit, but I would have thought, but I didn't know. I didn't put two and two together really until I read your bio, because I remember when we first met, we met each other online before we actually met in person, but on the virtual reality tour you performed on that, which was one of the weirdest shows I've ever been a part of, by the way.
Such a strange show.
Yeah, so I apologize 2 years later here, or 3, whatever it was. we all talk about that day, like what the heck was that? But no, when I first met you, I was like, holy crap, you're like pretty tall, and so I figured maybe you were a hooper, but I think that's dope that you played at Rice. What
We're repping the brand today.
Yeah, Rice basketball. What? So I mean, what was the biggest jump though? Because like, and I feel like in high school when you play, because I mean, like I was a high school athlete, like I'm nothing special, but I feel like the biggest jump from high school to like college is like it's more of like a job, and it's just like very like you really got to be about it, or you'll like fall behind, right?
Oh
Because I
yeah.
mean, you could definitely just get by with your natural ability in high school and still do well for the
Oh yeah,
most part,
a
right? But
million percent. Like that's where it becomes 100% a job, and you really start to separate who wants this and who, you know, who's gonna kind of fall back as other people are working harder and staying in the gym longer and doing the things they need to do to get to that next level. And I personally, that's when I realized I didn't. I mean, I never truly had like NBA ambitions. I always had goals of being a D1 athlete. But even when I got to college, then it was really kind of like I had gotten to probably where my talents and where my ambitions in basketball was going to go. Like that's probably the highest I would have ambitions to go was college. So I learned quickly that it was very much a job, and I loved a ton of it. You know, I still have all my best friends I know to this day are still my teammates there, that I had there. But yeah, definitely the biggest jump was when you're done with high school. You go to college as an 18-year-old. Now you're playing with a bunch of 22-year-old men. The game's faster. People are moving faster, and you just got to learn a ton more plays and how the game's really played. And that was definitely this transition of like working all the time on it, and then just like kind of that speed of the game.
that makes a lot of sense. Did you play all 4 years, or did you end up?
No, I played two. I played 2 full years, and then I was done pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 2 full years. Yeah, I think I played 2 years and then I was done. I kind of decided that's really when school and music really kind of took over. Like I had been getting way more into music. Basketball was just not very fulfilling for me, and I wasn't even playing like a ton by that point. So I was like getting a ton more into music and just really enjoyed that part of it more. And was like, hey, I'd rather just focus on school, make a bunch of music, and have a lot of fun in college. So I kind of really like how it happened where I sort of divided my time. I had a couple years as an athlete, a couple years as like a regular student, getting to prepare for music and real life and school and jobs and all that fun stuff. So here we are.
Real life. Yeah. I think that's cool. I mean, because I think college is the biggest thing you'll take out of it is finding like who you are and what you want to do, I guess. I mean, that's
For
really
sure.
instead of, at least I think the more successful people, I guess, are they figure out kind of what they want to do and they just go with it. And it seems like you figured that out. And I think that's really cool. That was going to be my next question. Did, after those 2 years, that's kind of when you fell in love with the process of making music and all that. And
Well,
the type you bought a mic and started recording in your dorm room? Is it like the classic college?
yeah, so I mean, I
Or
have been recording and making music since 8th grade, since high school. Like I started taking piano lessons when I was 7. I started playing guitar when I was 10, and started recording music in high school. And I had always had a really big passion for that. I don't want it to sound like I just like stumbled into music. Like music was always a huge passion for me personally. It just hadn't really, and I always had ambitions for it to be a career, honestly, but I just hadn't been putting in the work at that point to, warrant that, I guess, at that point. A lot of the work had been going into basketball and school and stuff like that. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't take the leap, even though I did know right what I wanted to do, honestly, since I was probably 19, 20. I didn't go straight into music right after that. I mean, I still graduated from Rice. And then I went on to have like a job in business and consulting at Accenture, and just, did that for a few years before only last year kind of diving headfirst into music and doing this full time now. So it's definitely been a journey. And even though I did know exactly what I wanted to do, there were, practicality and a lot of the things in life kind of got in the way, I guess, first. And took me until, a couple of years ago that I realized, like, if I'm going to do this, I got to do this now, and I got to go all in.
wow, I mean that hearing that it makes sense because your music is very well produced. So it seems like you have a very musical background. But
Thank you.
I guess I lost my train of thought when you said something. But anyways,
You're good.
I think though it's important though that you because funding a music career or like trying to get it off the ground is one of the hardest things to do, especially if you're not signed to a major label. So, I mean, I think it's, from what you said, it sounds like you were working, you saved up your capital, and then when it was time to make that, it was more of a calculated decision. It wasn't just like, I know I can do it. I'm, fuck it. I'm just going all in. But it's like, I think sometimes you got to really make that, you have to be way more calculated about it and think more.
1,000,000%. I mean, I saved up for 3 years and all the time before that. And I didn't just quit my job one day and be like, I'm just going to see what happens. Like I have like a 70-page business plan I put together on how I was going to, like, year 1, year 2, year 3, and then hopeful projections after that. Like I put together my finances, where I was going to spend money on, first of all, living expenses, and then into like marketing, music, mixing, all the things that I thought was going to cost money along the way. So that's definitely been huge for me, and has honestly caused, like, if I had just jumped in without a plan, I know for a fact it would not have been going as well so far. The plan is what I can kind of fall back on and really go to for, like, okay, here are the kind of the numbers I need. Here's kind of the money I can spend, or the money I need to be making, or, whatever it is. Like if you don't have a plan, you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants, versus I'm like calculated and know each month what I'm going to be doing.
I think that's the smart way to do it. I mean, I think you'd just be much more overwhelmed if you just were like made a drastic decision like that. And,
1,000,000%.
but
1,000,000%.
you got to have it mapped out. And I guess this is a very smooth transition here into what you've recently been doing. You put out a new single called Day Job, and you just mentioned that you quit, basically your day job to pursue this full time. And I think, honestly, I think it's my favorite song that I've heard from you. I just thought it was just so well done and produced, and just very thought out with the whole everything. I don't know. I don't really have any. I don't listen to him like, oh, I don't really like. It was just like it's good. Like I saved it. So
thank you. I appreciate it. No, for real, I appreciate that. That's one of the songs that are out so far that I'm more proud of. And definitely meant a lot. It was like a cool song to kind of make and reflect on. So if you're listening and you haven't heard it, Day Job, go give it a listen.
go check that out. I mean, you kind of touched on, I guess, what the inspiration for the song, it's like you kind of quit your day job. Is there a deeper meaning to it, I guess, than
I mean, I think the inspiration in the song title for sure comes from a place of, I literally quit my corporate job, my safe little job, to do what I'm passionate about and take a big risk. But as a whole, I think the song is even more so a reflection on the last year of my life, which probably the biggest part of that has been obviously quitting my job to do music. But I think there's been a lot of opportunities for growth that I've gone through. I think I've learned a lot about myself, a lot about what I'm looking for in other people and relationships that I'm, pursuing. And sorry, phone just went off there.
It's all good.
The song is just really a lot of personal reflection. I kind of think of it as like a little mini time capsule that I'm able to look back on and hopefully see that's where I was at in my life at that point.
Okay, I dig it. I mean, that's definitely kind of the vibe I got from it. Just like it wasn't so much the typical what do you call it? Like, how in like hip hop, like there's this persona, or like the, what do you call it? Just the like whole fucking live thing, and just like I'm getting this money. Like there's a much more deeper concept behind it than that, So I really appreciated it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you for
no problem. And you have a new video coming with that one as well?
I do, on Friday. I'm not sure when this one's coming out, but
it's gonna be next Tuesday. So.
Okay, so by the time you're hearing this, there will be a music video out for Day Job. If I sent it to you, I gotta send that to you.
I would love to check it out, man.
Dude, let me send it to you right after this. I got you. Yeah, so Day Job music video will be coming out by the time you guys hear this.
Okay. I definitely, what? I should have been more on my host game and been like, hey, can you send that to me early so I can like ask a bit of a question on it? It's all good. Because we haven't caught up. This is the first time we spoke like this in like a minute. So, but I've noticed that you've been working kind of closely with Abstract.
I have. He's actually the person that FaceTimed me. That's when you heard my phone go off. It's him FaceTiming me.
Shout out. Love that dude. He was episode
6.
6. Yep.
Come on now. I know my RPD show.
Man, you've been listening. That's huge. That means it's what keeps me going. It's like people actually listen, and
come on, man.
Feedback I get.
You're killing it. You're doing a great job, man. It's cool to see. I feel like you're getting better as the episodes go on too. It's cool to see you get more comfortable.
Oh, thank you. I definitely feel like more in my element, just like this is me and I don't really care that there's a microphone in front of me,
Yeah,
but if I go back and listen to the first few, I would be like criticizing crap out of myself, like, oh my gosh, like what the heck. But like I was super nervous for all those.
For sure.
So
I love it.
But like you as an artist though, you're much more you're also a record producer. Like you have a much more skills, than just, when you sing vocals on it. Like you bring a lot more to the table. So I noticed that you kind of you've done things in the songwriting realm and producing realm. So
for sure.
I guess kind of touch on that, how that process is different. Like when you're when you're working with someone else, like on their records as opposed to like yours.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the artist project that I have, Joey Burbs, is like really my main focus at the time, but I also have really enjoyed producing and songwriting for other artists recently. Mostly producing. The songwriting has been more in like these little songwriting camps that we've gotten together. And I've actually gotten to write with some super, super cool artists recently that I don't know if I'm allowed to say. Like, I won't say it in case I can.
Yeah,
no, I don't want you to artists, a couple of my favorite people that like I listen to. It's been super cool. But yeah, producing like for Abstract is a great example. A lot of the people I'm sure who are listening to this are aware of his music, but I'm producing a bunch of shit for him on his new album. I think so far I've produced like 7 or 8 of the songs that are on this project he's putting together. And it's super cool working with another artist because at the end of the day, it's going to be their vision. Whereas opposed to as on the artist project for Joey Burbs, when I'm making a song, like I have a vision and I know what sounds I want. And I'm really the director of it all. And then when I'm doing stuff for other people, it's kind of like I'm helping them architect this vision, but at the end of the day, it is their call and their vision. So if there's I'm bringing a ton of the sounds to him and a ton of these ideas to him, but then he's kind of the one who's building the roadmap and telling me where things should go from there. So it's a very collaborative process, obviously, working together with him and working with other artists. And it's just probably a much more a much more communicative process when you're producing and writing versus for my own artist project, at least, it's very centralized on me making the decision making. There's not a ton of other people that I have involved in that process up to this point, at least, because I'm doing most of the producing, all the songwriting pretty much for my new stuff. So it's been really cool to kind of work in that space with other people, and then also work in sounds that like I typically don't work in, like Abstract, like that's very hip hop, but also like we're doing these pop punk rock songs that are awesome for this project. Like it's really cool to be able to go in different genres and areas of music that I typically don't work in.
I think that's how you grow. So I love to hear that. I've heard other artists talk about like like when they lay down just like their best vocals or whatever, or even just like performing or whatever, that they kind of get like this euphoric high almost. Do you still get that type of fulfillment when you're songwriting or producing with other people, or is it just more of like you're all, I don't know, I mean, is it just like music making to you and it doesn't really matter, or is it
listen, music making to me, whether it's alone or with other people, like I love it. I have had sessions. I was recently out in LA and I had sessions with other people where we were writing for my project and producing for my project, and it was like just as fulfilling and just as fun as if I was just doing it alone. I would honestly say it's even better when you're doing it with people. The product just turns out you just have more ideas and more opinions that are creating like a more well-rounded thing. I just personally, up to this point, haven't had as much exposure to that as I would like. So I can say that while it's something that I haven't been able to be a part of as much for my own artist project, it's certainly something I'm looking to do, and certainly like it's not less fulfilling that I didn't do everything. So collaboration, I think, is super huge, super key to growing, particularly for myself as an artist. It's something I really am trying to get more involved in.
And I think it's only going to happen, as you continue to do it. I think, music is such a collaborative thing. I mean, I know like the general perspective when you see like 10 writers on a hit song, but it's like to get that idea out, so you need so many different perspectives, and it's like kind of the same way with movie making. I feel like, it's just like you shoot something and then someone else sees it a certain way.
And there's a stigma in music,
it's part of art.
For sure. And I don't know, I think there's a bit of a stigma where like if the artist is singing something they didn't write word for word, or they made every melody, it's like somehow some people might find that not as authentic, which I just don't agree. I think it's just, I think the collaboration is key to the authenticity of the art.
I 100% agree. I think most art or all art is pretty collaborative, unless, I guess if you're just like a painter or
yeah.
That's more solo, it's more self, but music.
Unfortunately, so far I haven't gotten as much as that stuff on my personal or my artist project, but moving forward, that's definitely something I'm definitely trying to get more people involved.
It'll happen. I think helping out others and being a part of their stuff, it will just build. And
we're building it.
Like I know Joey, he's good at producing or something, or he could be and then it's just like a domino effect. But okay, so you talk about collaboration on your last album that you released. Was it in 2020 or was it the end of 2019? I don't want to watch.
It was mid 2019, I think. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't put out a song for like almost 2 years until this last one. So,
but you you got a feature on there from Sammy Adams.
I did.
How did that? Well, I guess how did that kind of come about? Was it just like an idea you had in your head, and then you talked to people, or?
So I had kind of an idea of the type of artist I would want on there, and I'd always been a giant Sammy Adams fan when I was kind of growing up. Like in high school, Sammy Adams was one of my fucking guys that kind of I would listen to. And one day he just followed me on Twitter, and I'd already been following him, and I just hit him up and in the DMs was like, hey, like, big fan, I got this record, would love to get you on. And he just text me, and then we got to text, and super nice dude, super cool about everything, was very transparent and about everything, seems like a super great guy. And then he just sent the verse back, we collabed on it, we sent a few things back and forth, and then Bright One was born.
I love it. The age of the internet, man. That's how things happen. I think that's how we originally connected, right? I think
so. You were working with Chris, and I had been working with Chris pretty close.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I became aware of you, and I was like, yeah. But that's cool though. A lot of these, you meet a lot of people on the internet.
Don't I know it? Half my friends know.
Yeah, internet. It's wild because, like, I'm sure especially in music now, because everyone can kind of be anywhere. Like, it's just like I feel like I know someone like almost in like every state. It's just like, oh yeah, that person's out there, or like
probably if we think about it, how many artist friends do we have that are just in so many random areas?
Yeah, it's nuts. So you're based in Chicago though. Is that where you want to stay, or do you have like aspirations to get out to LA or New York or somewhere bigger?
I'm willing to go wherever makes sense for the career, honestly, at this point. Like at this point, I think I can do a lot of the things I'm doing in Chicago, but if opportunities start showing themselves that I need to be in LA or I need to be somewhere else that makes sense, like I'm certainly not tied to it. But I do, first and foremost, love living in Chicago. Like this is my favorite city, in America. So I don't have any plans to leave, but I'm certainly, if the right opportunity comes about, I'm not opposed to transplanting.
I love it. I know that. As you learn, we all learned, you can do a lot of things remote. This past year. So
it was funny because the week after I quit, or maybe it was 2 weeks after I quit the corporate job, the pandemic hit. So it was just like, oh shit, just threw all my plans into a kind of a whirlwind. And then, all my plans for shows and all the releases, I kind of just decided to push back. So it was definitely an interesting time to dive into all this.
Yeah, talk about I still feel like we're in 2020. Like whenever I see the date 2021, I'm kind of like,
bro, I don't know what day it is.
yeah,
I'm just going where I'm told these days.
I feel you. It's hard. It's hard to keep up, but hey, how's like COVID? How have you been like throughout that? Like you seem healthy and well. Nothing
Yes.
major.
No, all my family's been, safe and healthy. I've been relatively healthy. I actually had COVID in September for a week. It was about, I had about 3 bad days, but I didn't get as bad as, a lot of people. So certainly not going to complain about that. But yeah, relatively, I've been doing well. I took the time in COVID and in the pandemic to just kind of like record a ton of music. I'm sitting on like a whole album right now and a bunch of these singles that I'm just dropping right now. I'm in the process of recording the second album now before we even drop the first album. So just been in it's been an interesting time to create for sure. I've never in 2020 I made more music, in that 1 year than I had in the previous 3 years for sure. 4 years maybe. So it's been a cool experience from that aspect at least.
I love it. Stack the records, stack the albums. Be ahead of the game. Shoot, I'll get into that later. Just about maybe future plans and whatnot. But COVID though, I'm curious because I feel like I'm curious about it. Whenever I people that have said they've gotten it, like I guess everyone's symptoms are different. If you want to talk about it, what were your symptoms like? Was it super severe for you, or is it kind of like you're just sick for a bit and you got over it?
Yeah, I had like 2 days where it was really bad, where it was just like fever and all the classic symptoms of it. And it was just a couple bad days, and then started getting better after that. Like honestly, nothing compared to like what a lot of people have gone through. So certainly I'm lucky from that perspective.
Yes, you very much are.
Yeah.
No, no like long-term effects because I've
not that I'm aware of.
well, because I'm a big sports fan, and I think it was Jason Tatum on the Celtics, or even Lamar Jackson in the NFL. He said like there's been times where it's like they're just like running and then they had, I guess, more of the respiratory that
Yeah. So my
so
roommate
they're saying like I'm not quite the same.
For sure. And my roommate had COVID too, and he was also like a D1 athlete. He played volleyball D1 in college, and like obviously in shape guy. And he had COVID. He had chest pains for like a long time. So I think it affects different people differently. I'm certainly no doctor, but
yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I'm no doctor either. I just I try to report the facts here. I'm no journalist. Now, you have if you're listening and you're not watching the program here, Joey's wearing a Chicago White Sox hat. Are you like what? Obviously, Chicago is very rich in sports, so it's like, are you a sports fan? Obviously with your basketball background, like
yeah.
Bulls. Who are your teams?
So I'm a huge basketball fan, especially NBA fan. My team is whatever team LeBron James plays on. Like that's been my dude since I was in 3rd grade. Like I was getting into basketball and I was just like, he was a junior in high school and I was like, that's my favorite player of all time. I'm riding with him forever. And it's turned out well so far. So, literally if he was on like the Grizzlies would be my favorite team. So big LeBron guy. I grew up in Milwaukee area before I moved to Chicago. So I was a Bucks fan growing up. Other sports, what else we got? Just obviously Packers fan, being from Wisconsin too. Baseball, I'm not huge on anymore. Like I don't watch a ton of baseball, but if I was cheering, I'd say the Brewers. But basketball for sure is the biggest for me. Like I'm watching a ton of NBA games.
It's just so entertaining.
Oh, it's the best league. It's the best.
I play fantasy basketball and like I'm just like super.
Dude, let me get in that.
Next year for sure. I'm in a league with Dylan Reese and a bunch of his homies from back home. I somehow got in there and I'm like, and it's cool because like everyone is super into it. It's like everyone like there's
You
no
need
like
that. You can't have people that like aren't updating their
yeah.
shit every week.
Yeah, and like so people know what's up, and it's not like I mean any fantasy sport you have 1 weak link, it's kind of like
Yeah, exactly.
but everyone seems to know what they're doing and everyone has their own strategy.
How are you
But
doing this year?
I started off rough, but I'm 34 and 35 and like one or whatever. So I mean it's head to head, but I've got a good squad. I've got I
Is
got
it every day you play a different team or a different person?
no, it's like a week to week matchup, and you basically go head to head with stats. So it's like
How have you
point.
played 70 games?
Well, there's 8 categories, so it's like if I win points for the week, that's. But I've gotten I have the Joker, Nikola Jokic. He was my first round
Big night
pick.
last night.
Yeah, and Ben Simmons, Pascal Siakam. Who else? Lou Williams. I'm trying to think off top. Darius Garland, who's been huge for me.
Yeah. Can dig it.
Yeah, Draymond. I like the strength of my team is rebounding and assists.
Okay,
I have Draymond and Ben Simmons, and then Jokic, who just crushed all those. But Anthony Edwards, I have him.
Okay. Yeah.
So I got a good little squad, but like it's hard though because like everyone knows their stuff. So it's like there's always, at least I noticed last year, there's like 1 or 2 teams that like hit on someone. Like last year, someone got like Brandon Ingram later in the rounds, and like obviously he had an all-star season.
Right.
And so it's like whoever I think there's like a team that's just like so stacked that has like Julius Randle, and then but he was like a 7th round pick. So it's like
Dylan?
No, but Dylan has a good team. He's got like LeBron, Bradley Beal. But he's I think he's first in his division, like in his conference. So, but dude, if there's an opening, I'll definitely. Or if we just venture off and do a different league, I'm definitely gonna always consider you because I'm the NBA is just so fun to follow. It's
best league in the world, man.
It is. I'm a huge like LaMelo Ball fan. I don't know why.
Bro, we could have a whole podcast on that. That boy is cold.
He's gonna be a star. I've been telling people.
He is a star. Yeah. Listen, I had money on him plus it was like plus 750 for rookie of the year. Is the easiest money I've ever made in my entire life. Like that man is cold. Once he learns how to play defense and puts a little weight on, he's going to be actually a star.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, based on your bio, it seems like you play very similarly LaMelo. Maybe he's got a couple.
My defense, my defense is like his.
The defensive end makes him a liability on the floor.
Yeah, I think that's about where the comparisons to LaMelo stop for me.
Yeah, the one thing that really impressed me with him though is he just has such a feel for the game. Like his passing is just so filthy. For sure,
his passing is great feel for the game. Good ball handler, honestly. Like I don't think Lonzo's as good a ball handler as he is, and like LaMelo is a better shooter too. Like he's super streaky, but once he puts it all together, I mean, he's gonna be, and he's flashy too. Like he's fun to watch. So
yeah, he already has a lot. I mean, I think Steve Kerr said the night after they played him, they're like, yeah, once he fully figures it out, he's gonna be a huge problem. He already is a problem, but he's gonna figure it out.
I agree. Totally agree. And
I think he was on the record saying that, yeah, we thought he was the best player in the draft, but Wiseman made more sense for us. And it's just like, well, that's true. Because if you have Steph, why do you need, LaMelo when there's only one basketball for, someone to handle. So, but yeah, fun stuff.
A lot more basketball than I was expecting on today's podcast, but I'm here for it.
So, well, the thing is, I had my music questions too, which we're still touch on, but I saw your bio, because like last minute I did some research. I'm like, is there anything I'm missing? And then I saw the bio. I'm like, oh, we're definitely talking some hoops.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love it. Well, we could have a separate NBA episode.
Yeah, maybe we'll start our own NBA podcast.
Hell yeah. When the playoffs start, we'll get back on here.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. So you mentioned though you're stacking up music. So What
Yeah.
do you have anything in the works, like,
Um,
or that you can announce? Well, I guess you can't really announce, but you plan on dropping an album at some point, right? Or
a project of some sort,
yeah,
yeah. So kind of the plan is right now, I made a ton of music, and I would say there's like anywhere from 10 to 14 songs that are going to be on a project, and then there's just like a bunch of singles that I really like, but just like don't necessarily fit in the concept of the album I made. So what I'm kind of doing right now is like for the first half of this year, I'm just going to be dropping a ton of these singles. I got like two coming with Jay Wright next month. I've got one with Abstract coming in April, and then like two more in May. Like I'm just trying to just get out a bunch of songs, a bunch of content, and then hopefully, in the summer or in the later half of the year, whatever makes sense, start figuring out the singles and the songs for like this whole project and kind of figure out how that world's going to come together. I already have some pretty in-depth ideas, I guess, of how I want to present it all, but yeah, it's kind of the plan. Is first half, the part we're in right now, I'm just going to drop a bunch of music, like day job, just kind of these singles that I really am happy with, but don't fit in the story of the album. And then towards the end of the year, we'll have a full project for people.
hell yeah, I love that. And as you know, today's musical landscape, you just really can't take breaks. So it's like I think it's smart that, I mean, you kind of got to be strategic. Like you can't just like, have the one song that you think is really good and drop. Like there's just so much strategy involved, and
I mean,
I've learned through it all. It's crazy.
and that's a mistake I made when I dropped my album. Like when I had that album out, I was probably, I was doing some really good streaming numbers for me at the time. And then I just like didn't drop anything for, like I said, almost 2 years. And then, we're not at zero. We still have some listeners, but it's like, I got to kind of build it back up to where it was. So compared to had I continued just dropping all the time, I think we'd be a little different, but live and you learn. And now I have a whole cohesive project that I'm super proud of. So I truly wouldn't do it any other way. So I'm glad we're at where we're at, but I truly plan to never go like long ever again without dropping music. Like I'm really trying to drop music every single month for quite an extended period of time from now on, at least the next yearish for sure, year or two.
That's good, but I think you got to go through that growing pains and learning lessons from the first one. It's
Absolutely.
so. Is that really the biggest thing that you took away from your debut album? Just like the growing pains of it all, and then figuring out how getting basically to where you are today, I guess. Right?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000% is just like the bumps and bruises that it took. Even like creating the album and trying to figure out like how does this all make sense together. You have to get it mixed and mastered all together. You have to figure out the marketing plan and the artwork all together. You have to figure out, are you going to do shows for it? And I did a release show. We sold out a release show for like 250 people in Chicago. But that was a scary thing. That was a big headache. We had to rent out a venue. We had to sell tickets, shit like that. So for sure. And I had to figure out how to market it, how to, hit up people to get on playlists, how to get premieres and blogs and everything. So some stuff is relevant still in 2021. Some stuff, not as relevant, but definitely was a great learning experience and something that I'm taking forward now that I'm doing it kind of full time.
I dig it. It's all about learning, man. I mean, I feel like the music industry is just like it's trial and error. It's trial by fire
For
is
sure.
more appropriate.
Especially as an independent artist. So.
Yeah, it's you just got to figure it out and roll with the punches.
Absolutely.
It's when it comes to a process of making an album, I mean, I'm sure it was much different in 2019 to what you're going to be putting out. When you have a bunch of music stacked up, is it like harder to like kind of pick, or like how do I phrase this? Like say you have like 60 songs made or whatever, like 30, 40, 50, whatever, some large number of songs made that you think are like album worthy.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make like having that much stored away make it much harder? Because like you'll revisit something, you're like, oh, I didn't hear that then, now I hear it.
Yeah,
Maybe
harder as in like harder to pick which ones to put out.
Yeah, or just like the process in general harder. I mean, like I guess I phrased the question, but like when you're making an album, like is it better, like you get the idea and you kind of you record and go with it, or is it what's more of your style? Is it like you have the idea and then you kind of know what you want, you record?
Yeah,
Or
I think
are you more of like you pick from a bunch of songs that you made in the
no, I think, I mean, I'm certainly not an expert on the process of it yet, but for the two albums that I do have complete now, it's been like I have a general idea of like the kind of concept or topic or sound, I guess, it's going to be on. And then I sort of just write a bunch of songs, not really thinking of like the cohesion of them all, but as I start to write and I start to realize that I'm like building this sound or building this narrative or making songs that have like a similar structure or, you know, sound to them all. Sometimes like that story will start to appear more and more. So like honestly, this album that I have sitting in the vault now is like first off such a different sound than everything I've made before. Like I would compare my old stuff to like kind of Kid Quill, Sammy Adams, kind of like the pop, hip hoppy kind of thing. And this new stuff is very like indie pop, Jeremy Zucker, very, you know, but very different vibe than the old stuff. So that's definitely one thing I'd say is like the sound starts to kind of manifest and be like cohesive in a different way. But then like just like there's all these songs that are like really kind of tie into each other and really are about at its core a lot of the same things and a lot of the same themes just explored in different ways. So kind of a long tangent there. Don't know 100% where I was going with that at the end, but yeah, I think for me, it's the album process starts with like making a few songs and then just kind of like building the world and building the story as you go and figuring out what pieces need to be included or what kind of songs need to be included. What else do I need to make this whole album story and this whole concept and sound fit?
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. That paints a much better picture in my. I know. I mean, obviously, every artist has their different processes, but
Yeah.
that makes much more sense to me. So you said you know, I was actually going to ask, like, what genre would you kind of class? Because I don't. I have a hard time putting your music in a kind of in a one genre, just because I think you're very versatile when it comes. You could do pop, R&B, but you said indie pop. Is has doing music full time kind of you can say you kind of found your sound, or is this more experimental, or what's that like, or is it just like kind of more of the sound that you think best fits that album that you're making?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it's definitely I've been finding my sound, just like that I want to have moving forward. I'm definitely moving away from like the hip hop and going much more into the pop, indie pop kind of vibe. I've taken a lot of inspiration from, you know, people like John Billion, Dominic Fike, Jeremy Zucker, and then even like older music with like some rock influence. Like I've always been huge in Queen, little Aerosmith, Billy Joel. So it's really been a lot of pop music with some like rock influence, I'd say, has been kind of recently what I've been on. There are still some hints of the hip hop in there for sure on a lot of these songs on the album. I think there's like 2 songs with rap verses on this project I put together still. So it's not like totally gone, but the sound as a whole has definitely shifted more to like pop for me.
Okay, that makes sense. You know, especially with day job. I think I kind of was getting that vibe, but I'm definitely curious to see. I mean, you're obviously too far out to just be like, oh, here's the album, but I can't wait till that day comes.
I'll send you a few. Don't share them, but I'll send.
Oh,
Some.
I know how I'm not trying to say I'm cool, but I definitely know. I've listened to unreleased songs before, and like it's like a very, you know, I don't know how people leak stuff, you know, like it's just like it's unclassy and not cool. Like,
Yeah, please don't do
so
that.
I'm good. Like
Okay.
I respect the art too much to do some stupid.
I appreciate that. Yeah, dude, listen, I'll send you the link after this. I mean, we got the whole I got the whole project ready to go. I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Oh, you're already, damn, dude, you're crushing it. You're already ready
Dude,
to
I got the second. I got a third album already starting. I got the whole concept for it and everything. I'm ready to rock.
shoot. Okay. Well, kind of transitioning to my next question, I guess. It's one topic I kind of like to talk to you about, like with artists or just people that are more in the creative space. But like being an artist today, especially like with the way the world is, and like mental health. How has that affected you? Do you go through mental health like issues, or is it not really a thing to you? But I know a lot of artists kind of struggle with it, so I kind of like want to get your perspective
For sure.
if you're
No, I
open
mean,
to sharing.
listen, it's definitely a huge thing for me. Like I definitely go through, bouts of feeling different ways, and the sort of, anxieties and depressions and things that kind of come with, just the life in general that I go through. And it's something that, I hope to kind of like explore and talk about a little more in the new music. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, like music's been a cool outlet for me to be able to relate and talk to different people about these issues. Like I've had a few songs where I do talk about the kind of things that I've gone through. And it's cool to have people reach out and be like, hey, like I feel that too. And you made me feel not alone. And it also makes me feel not alone. So it's definitely in this music space. If that's kind of what you're asking, I'm not sure if I totally got the question right, but yeah, no, I've definitely gone through bouts of things like that in the past that have, really messed with me before. And music has definitely been a cool way to connect and relate to people like that.
That's good. I'm glad though that you use your platform. I mean, I guess from what I got, what he said, it's just more of you use your voice, like your what's the proper word for it? Your voice,
Platform.
your platform to push. It's authentic to who you are. And
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think that's how you reach people and build fans. So
Yeah, and I try to engage, and I try to be as open as possible. I think that's a huge thing for me moving forward. Is I just want to be as transparent as possible with people. And anytime someone wants to hit me up on Instagram or Twitter, like I'm always DMing them back. I'm always having conversations, whether it's just like, hey, I like your new song, or it's like, hey, I hope you're having a good day. Or I've had people be like, I'm having a tough day, and I'm like, oh, like, what's wrong? Like, you need someone to talk to. Like, I try to be, just a normal person, whether you're a fan or a friend or whatever. So we all go through shit, and we all got to be here for each other, I guess, at the end of the day.
I love that. I mean, at the end of the day, there's a human on the other side of these phone screens. So
100%.
Yeah, I guess. Well, this is the part of the show I kind of like to call closing thoughts, where you kind of get to end, with the shebang, or not, or you basically plug what you want, say what you want.
Yeah.
We end the program, and boom, the beat drops.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you. Good, sir. It's finally good to catch up with you. We haven't talked in forever. Plug time. Like, my name is Joey Burbs. You can see me at Joey Burbs on every social media there is. I just dropped my new song Day Job. It is available everywhere. It's a song I'm super proud of, and you should follow me everywhere. And you should hit me up, and we should just talk, because I'm gonna have a ton of music coming, like I said, and would love to connect with you guys.
Beautifully said. I'll follow him on the gram
Let's
or on
go.
Twitter. Yeah. So, Joey Burbs, thanks for coming on the show. You're great. I really enjoyed this. It was a good convo, but best of luck with everything in the future, and we'll definitely talk soon, man.
My guy, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.